Hi guys, welcome to the channel, and on today's episode of LR Live, I'm getting myself out of trouble. Now, many of you who've got a Discovery 3 might be in the same position as me, and that is, can't open your tailgate. So let's get it fixed. Let's just wind back a little bit, go back in time. Now, my control fob on I've got one fob for my vehicle, and historically it's been falling apart, so it's been held together with a couple of zip ties. And if I show you here, I've had one zip tie over this piece and the other zip tie has been over this bottom button, so I've never used the bottom button. And of course I made the mistake the other day of fixing this fob with some super glue, which meant I had access to that little button at the bottom, and I accidentally pressed it and it opened the rear tailgate. I thought, great, that's really handy. So went about my business, did everything I needed to do, and then I went to shut this and it wouldn't shut. So clearly I've done something. Now, I thought it was something to do with the fob or the way you program the keys, a fuse maybe, but obviously I've gone into it in a little bit more depth, and I'm fairly sure it's the actuator, which is a common fail point on these vehicles. Now, I've decided to fit an aftermarket part because it's so much cheaper than the Land Rover part, and I've been assured by LR Parts they sell hundreds of these, so it should be absolutely fine to do the job that we want to do. There's a possibility that it's not this item. It could be the actual latch mechanism itself. So I have one of these as well. Now, I'm not going to try and fit this until I know what's going on. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually test this new actuator. So all I have to do is just actually plug it in, and I'll see if that makes everything work. There is a possibility that this hook, which you can see on here on the actual tailgate release, the upper tailgate release, that hook might be broken and is not connecting inside of this unit anymore. So there's lots to look at. Unfortunately, somebody's industrialized my tailgate and they fitted some checker plate. So I've got to drill out all of these rivets before I can get access to it. But once I've got that off, I'll show you how to go about doing it yourself. There we go, that's one. I'm just going to do one at a time because I don't want the whole thing to collapse. Okay, so let's lift that off. On the tailgate, there are actually a couple of screws and some clips. Mine have all come off as far as I'm aware. Yep. So, sadly I can't show you, but I've got two clips in place, which is why it stayed on. There's two of those. There's my rubber switch cover. And then you'd have some screws, the bolts that actually go in here, but mine are missing. So I think that's because of all this crap. We might be able to get that back on. It's not in a bad condition. Have I loosened them all off? Got a little rivet on there. Oh, look at that, a big bloody hole. So someone's been in there before. That is absolutely minging. Don't like that at all. It's got rivets in it and all sorts. Not even held down with anything, look. So I do have a sub. That's good to see. So in here we have our actuator, and it's actually plugged in just under here. So you can get your hand in there, even my massive hands fit in there. And there's a little release clip somewhere. There. Now the release clip is right near the wire, just there, look. Now what we're going to do is connect this to it directly. Now in theory, if I press this button, it should make a noise. There we go. So clearly that was faulty. As a result, that's quite an easy fix. So we've got an 8mm and a 10mm to remove. Don't have to undo these completely because they're on a slider. So we just basically slide that down and out through the holes. Now, I then have to try and wiggle it out, not too hard. And you can see here we just got our cable. Now that cable corresponds, on the interior that is, to this cable here. So we don't have to replace this, which is great news, because that was quite expensive. Well, both about the same price, both about 40 quid. But obviously genuine Land Rover, a lot more. So we've got a couple of Torx here we need to remove. That's funny, you know. Right, so someone zip tied it. So it's obviously broken before. Right, now we just have to remove the cable. So I'm gonna have to cut these. Don't want to bend that cable too much. So So I'm just going to free this plastic piece out from the housing here. Like that. Turn that round. And there's two little clips in there. I don't think they're very robust. So it should just be able to push them back. And that should lift out. There we go. So I'll just show you what I was doing there. So can you see here? You've got these two little clips and then your bar drops in. So to remove them, you have to sort of push them out to get the bar out. Okay, so you can see our new unit here. You can just see, same fitting. Just drop it in there. And there's a hole there that the bar's going to go into. There we are. Now these two clips are supposed to keep that in, but let's fit a zip tie just like we saw had been previously done, but not two. I think if you put too many on there, you're going to cause a problem. So if you can see there, we've got our zip tie around here, so that now means that the bar cannot lift out of position. Once you've got it on there, you then have to clip it into this position here, and we'll do that as we offer this on. So you can just see the back. I'm gonna clip it in there. Okay, that's in good and solid. Then we put this back together. Okay, that is how it all goes together. Now what we're going to do is we're going to test it before we fit it. So plug the connector in, push our button on our tailgate. Happy with that? So we'll disconnect, pass it through the gap again. Try not to bend our cable too much, because if you get a kink in that, it's not going to work very well. There we go. So that's how it's gone in. So this piece goes at the bottom like that. Let's just a quick test. We're good to go. Now one thing you can clearly see on this is just how absolutely filthy it is, and that is not going to help the actuator at all. So if we get any dust into those mechanisms, any mud, they're just not going to work very well. And because nobody has replaced the cover on there and protected it, that is what's happened. So we're going to put some Dynamat on there. We're going to get that cleaned up, get it soundproofed, and then we're going to look to see what our options are to get that covered again. I said before, we had looked in the past about doing some sort of camping installation on the back of the Disco 3, whether it be boxes, drawer systems, whatever. And you know, the tailgate is one of the key attractive features of the Disco 3. You know, like the Range Rover, it's just such a useful platform. And I'm wondering whether or not I now given the opportunity to do something different with this, rather than sort of try and source a clean one of these, which is just a very basic piece of plastic. Would it be better for me to make something out of wood? If I had a nice piece of ply on here, some marine ply maybe, then that would give me a really solid platform. It would be quite a clean surface, but also it would give me something to mount onto, being wood. So I think we're going to go down the road of getting this cleaned up. We'll get some Dynamat on here to tidy it up and make sure it's you know, sealed and also sound deadened. And then we're going to use the original piece here that I've got. I'm going to use this as a template to cut out some wood, and we're going to mount some wood on here, and we're going to start discussing some camping options. So first thing I need to do is get this cleared up. If you haven't seen the first video of when I picked up this Discovery 3, it's definitely worth going back a few episodes and having a look of what it was like when I first got it, because it was absolutely hanging. And you know, I appreciate what it is. It's not an expensive vehicle. I mean, it is expensive for me, but I mean, it's not an absolute, as I said before, it's not a show pony. But I want to make it nice and usable. And you know, I think also, in a way, because it's not too nice, I don't mind doing things like this to it. It's almost got that Defender appeal to it, where you can just do things to Defenders because, well, they're just easy. It's a Meccano kit. Once you get your head over the fact that this has got loads of electronics, they are just electronics, and it's not rocket science. And you know, everything about it is fairly practical. So I think it's well worth investing in, you know, getting this so it's going to work better for what we need. So yeah, first thing is get this cleaned up. Right, that is a lot better. So I'm much happier with how clean this is. And I'll do a little bit more on this surface here, actually. That's nice and clean now. So what's interesting, I think, is when you're doing jobs like this, little things just suddenly spring out at you. And, you know, I like my music, but probably not enough to credit having a sub in the back here. And you know what? I was just thinking, camping, cooking, looking at this. This is a round recess. That is the perfect place to put a burner. I mean, at the end of the day, why wouldn't you? I mean, you could take this off and you could install a burner plate in there. You'd have it inside the actual tailgate, so it's in there all the time. There's probably room to put a gas canister, or at least you could feed a wire through to safer area to have a gas canister to one side. So I think we're going to remove this and play around. I'm going to keep the mounting plate. I'm going to ditch the sub speaker, and then I'm going to look at actually using that space to mount some cooking hardware. So if you're not familiar with it, Dynamat is a self-adhesive sound deadening material that will just reflect heat, but also will deaden sound and vibration. And we're going to be using this in another application tomorrow, which I'll keep quiet for just at the moment, but we're going to be working on a Defender on something a little bit special tomorrow, and that's going to require quite a bit of the Dynamat. But if you're sort of soundproofing any kind of vehicle, if you're going to be soundproofing it for acoustics, for music, or just to sort of keep the noise down, this stuff is fantastic on a series vehicle. So if you've got trim in your series vehicle, like on your doors and everything, it's a perfect thing to put inside the doors behind that trim where it can't be seen, and it will just transform the solidity sounding of your vehicle. It really will. So this is a great product. We're going to use a little bit of it now on the tailgate. Now, they've actually just started to bring this stuff out with a lined print, a squared print on it. Now, LR Parts do some of the Dynamat kits that are pre-cut for Defender, which is really useful, but you are paying a little bit extra for that sort of shaping and the tooling and everything. So if you're pretty handy with a pair of scissors or a knife, getting these panels and actually fitting it yourself, you can use the waste pieces all over your vehicle where they're not going to be seen. There's no waste and you're getting a really good effect. So let me just show you quickly how it's applied and how we work with it. So I've made sure that the surface is clean. Obviously I've just used a little bit of thinners just to make sure that I've got all the dirt and dust and everything, the grease off there, which is really important. Now this whole box will do 18 square feet, which I don't really know how that equates to a car. Let's see how many sheets you get. Wow, that looks nice. So, I mean, just as a product, it looks really nice. So we're going to get this on here now. So if you just get a rough idea of how many sheets you're going to need, I don't think we're going to need any more than 2 sheets on here, certainly, because there's going to be offcuts. Now you've got 2 options. You can either cut it prior, which is you know, a good option, or you can trim it when it's on the vehicle. Now I'm going to cut it before we put it on. So the nice thing about having it squared is you've got lines to work to. So we want to come just inside this line here, like this. It's really easy to handle this stuff. Peel off the back because it's self-adhesive, look at that. Try and keep it as flat as you can. So don't push it down too tight because you need your little wheel. Here we go. And then you can see where the recesses are, so we're just going to use our wheel to get into those. And don't forget, we've also got nuts on here. So regardless of the fact that I'm going to be probably modifying this, and there's a bit of stretch in it as well, because what you've got to remember, it's like a gummed back. I'm just going to run my hand on it like that, and there is my line. Look, you can see, hopefully, I've given that some shape. Go inside it slightly, otherwise it'll be too big. If you guys want to do a tidier job, that's absolutely fine. You can do it as tidy as you want. It's your vehicle. But just remember that this isn't designed to be seen. It's designed to be effective. You know, the other nice thing about this, it's going to keep all the dust out. So I have decided to finally splash out on a couple of new reels for my tailgate, because these ones have absolutely had it. It's a shame because they work fine. It's just that this bit's buggered. So 10mm bolt there and one at the back. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, so I've just finished this off. We've actually pushed the capping back on, so we've got the thickness right. I'll just show you here how thick we went. So we didn't go too thick, no need to really. 4 self-tappers, that's all we needed. It was a bit of a blind fixing, unfortunately, so we've got some holes in here, but we're going to actually cover this in something, so not to worry. And also the wretched sticker that always plagues me when I'm making stuff out of ply seems to have found its way onto there as well, which is a shame. But it's nice and flat. You can see here it's a good solid surface. I like the way the capping goes over the top, and it's quite easy to shut as well. Now we've still got fixing points in here that we can finish the job with. Just need to put the speed clips on there and then get the right screws just to make the job right. I did a bit of research and I was trying to find the clips that actually fit inside here. So if I just show you in here, so you need some little speed clips that actually fit into this, and you can't buy them from Land Rover or anywhere separately. They normally come, they would come with a replacement one of these. So these are the originals, and I'm going to replace them with these ones. So what I'm going to do is actually put the clips on the tailgate itself. So all I'm really trying to achieve here is for a big screw to pass through this plastic into the speed clip through the actual tailgate itself, so then this can't lift off. So that's in the hole. Let's try this one. Right, that is on. All right, I'm definitely through the tailgate, through the plastic, and through the speed clip. There's no way that's coming off. Now what I need to make sure is that is solid. I need to make sure this shuts easily. It's a good fit. Job done. So yeah, that's it. I'm really pleased with how that's gone. Made it a lot stronger. It's a lot more substantial now. I'm pleased I replaced these reels, because that's made the whole thing a lot more stable. But we've got our wood in place, so we're ready now to sort of explore a few camping options. I have actually found a stove that will fit directly in here, and I'm going to be doing that on the next episode on the D3. So we're going to do a few little camping modifications. I've got a couple of other items that go into the back of the vehicle I want to show you. And yeah, we'll just get set up and get it ready for a day trip or a weekend or even a week away camping, and see what you think. So for now, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll catch you on the next one.